Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hello. Oh, I just realized. So I'm in Korea, but you can't really see. There's just believe it or not, it's summer. It's hot as can be out there. It's just kind of an overcast kind of day though. Not sure why. Uh Whatever. It's beautiful. I should close this though so you can Nope, that didn't help at all. Let me see what else. I just realized. Hey, look, we're professionals here. Professionals. We stream all the time. Look at that. That's not better. Actually, you're better. Oh, I just realized I got like a little hair follicle thing going on right here. What's that? Whatever. Okay, so hi everybody. I've been doing this little roller coaster tour. Good morning, everybody. Hi, I can see all your nice salutations. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Hello. Hi. Let's see. Got that. Hi, buddy. Hello. Hello. Good morning. Good afternoon, good evening. It is the afternoon. It's 1 o'clock here in Korea. I am off. I have a meeting at 2. Somebody's gonna come and collect me at 2 o'clock. So, I have very little time, and it's gotten to the point now where, in order for me to do two of my favorite things, which is live streaming and coding, maybe I have to just do both of them at the same time. So that's what we're gonna do today. Hello, hi, thanks for joining us today. Some of you might remember from a long time ago, about a week ago even, that I did a video. Let me see, live. Let me see. I did a video. Let me share my screen here. Otherwise, we won't get far at all the way. Okay. Okay, share my screen. Share screen. Entire screen. Very good. So some of you might remember, about a week ago, I did this video, ChatGPT and Spring Boot, and it was, no clickbait. That's actually what it was. It was a very introductory look at how to use this amazing thing created by my buddy over. Let me see, Linux, China. It's this ChatGPT Spring Boot Starter, and he makes no bones about it. It's pretty early days yet, but it's got some interesting potential, and so I've just started contributing to. Oh yeah, look at that! You can already see the contributors. I was just added as a contributor recently. He's already added 2 others since. Yeah, it's making progress, and I've just been working on it. It's really cool. There's a lot of interesting possibilities here, and I want to make it work really well with Spring. And I mean, it already does. I mean, Jackie, the guy who wrote the original code, is one of the smarter people on the planet. So I know he knows what he's doing. But I wanted to just make it a little bit more idiomatic for Spring, and and also improve the GraalVM native image support. And so I got part of the way there, right? Like, actually, I've got this. Well, I don't know if you can start. I mean, I don't know. You just send a pull request, see what happens. I sent a bunch of pull requests, right? And then he accepted them, and he's like, "Fine, just here, go." Because he and I have written code together before. He trusts me for some reason. I have no idea. So that's what we're doing today. Is we're just making changes. Look at that. I already got a new tag. Oh dear, oh dear. So we're where are we now, actually? So this is the code right now, and all I want to do today, friends, is just see where we can improve the GraalVM native image support. And we got like 50 minutes in which to do that. So what version are we at right now? 0.51. Goodness. So that means already I've got a problem. My demo, see, I've got this little end-to-end demo thing I'm using here. It's pointing to the old version. This is what happens when you go to bed. Don't go to bed. That's the problem. Otherwise, you're going to miss stuff. I'm just kidding. Go to bed. Absolutely. Okay, so let's see here. He's got this dependency, 0.041 snapshot. That's like yesterday's news. Nobody cares about that anymore. Moving on. Okay. There's this terminal, Maven, skip tests, clean, install. And my hope is that we'll just learn about some stuff today and see what we can do. And first of all, anybody know how to fix this bug? I came from Australia. I flew from Australia yesterday, Sydney, and it's a very strange thing, that southern hemisphere jump. We flew like 10 and a half hours, which is a long flight, right? That'll get you almost anywhere you want to go on the map pretty quickly, right? If not all the way there, then certainly within a couple of hours of that. What are good projects in Spring to contribute to as a beginner? I don't know. I mean, it's a weird. Yeah. What are good? I don't know. That's a kind of a interesting question. Okay, if you have an itch, if you have something you want to do, then by all means send a pull request or start asking questions. If you're looking for mentors, which is a good idea as well, a very good idea, then go to any of the Spring projects under github.com, spring-projects, and you'll find we have issues, GitHub issues. And, a lot of those will have issues that are labeled as like ideal for beginner or ideal for newbies or whatever, right? I'm not even sure that we use the same label across all the projects. And it's not just us. Most big projects, including like I think Angular and a bunch of others. I mean, all the big projects on the internet, all the open source projects, they all have issues that are labeled. Most of them, not all of them, but most of them have issues labeled that are to indicate that they're happy to have contributions from people that are trying to figure things out. And so you just leave a message. Somebody from the project will be right along. They'll answer your questions. They can mentor you. You can talk about your proposed changes, and they'll guide you in that implementation and so on. Hi, hello everybody. Yeah, Spring Pet Clinic is our sample app. It's a demo app from decades and decades ago. It was, I don't know if people remember the whole history around the pet clinic, but we had the Spring Pet Clinic, but that in turn was actually based on the was it Pet Clinic? There's a sample app, a J2E, maybe it was J2E Pet Clinic, was it, or is it a different app? I think it was Pet Clinic. Let's just say it was the Pet Clinic. Spring didn't have it first, right? It was actually there was a J2EE one, which was disgustingly over engineered, right? Like EJBs and all this craziness that it just didn't need for what it was. And that was like tens of thousands of lines of code to do what amounts to, a pittance, especially back then. And then that actually inspired .NET. So remember, .NET was coming onto the scene around 2001, and they're out there trying to make the case that if you're trying to build serious enterprise apps, this new thing in town called .NET is the way to go, right? It is faster and it's more efficient and less code, more concise, all that kind of stuff. And to their credit, it was. But, huge but, what they did was disgusting, right? They had like this really broken architecture where they had like basically like a JSP, servlet logic, code logic inside the view and all this other stuff that nobody would do. They had a, hard-coded SQL, all this stuff that you were like, oh, it might be faster, but it's also ugly. That's not going to scale well for engineers, And I don't remember. It's been 15, 20 years, whatever, since all that stuff happened. I don't remember the details, but I just remember there being a whole big scandal around, the .NET Pet Clinic was, inferior or whatever. And then here comes Spring, and Spring comes out, and maybe it's contemporaneous with the .NET one. Maybe it's like a little bit before, a little bit after. I don't remember, but the Spring Pet Clinic is, ironically, it has endured because we've constantly maintained it to reflect the latest and greatest in the Spring ecosystem. So, and there's even been ports of it, for distributed computing with Spring Cloud and the Spring Boot one. We moved it from regular Spring to Spring Boot, and that was actually a fork in the beginning, and then it became the mainline one. And it's just gone on and on and on, for decades. But the original code was actually written by none other than the original Spring team, right? Rod and Jürgen and so on. I mean, Jürgen wrote a lot of that code as a demo app. Imagine Jürgen Huller writing code that wasn't intended to go to production, I mean, it was, but it was just a demo. It was just for people to learn. That's how seriously Spring has always taken education. They got Jürgen Huller to write educational content, For those of you who don't know, Jürgen is the lead of Spring Framework today, still, for 20 years, one of the best engineers on the planet. Okay, so anyway, I flew from Sydney, and it was kind of, like you fly 10.5 hours, and you, depending on how you do it, like I could have gone to another country, maybe a little bit further west. And hello from Lille. Hello, salut depuis Korea. So yeah, like I could have gone a little bit further west, but if I had done that, I would have been in exactly the same time zone. But I flew 10.5 hours, which to me is kind of, every time I do that, it breaks my brain a little bit because you expect 10 hours, things are going to be different. It is a little, the other thing that is different is I flew from winter to summer. So time stayed exactly the same, yet I'm in a completely different season, as well. Like it's very clearly summer where I am right now, where it was very clearly winter down in Australia. I was in Sydney, caught up with some old friends, including Rod, actually, creator of Spring, and then Des Bluntfield and a few other amazing folks, and talked to a lot of amazing organizations there, including Atlassian. Did a presentation for Atlassian. They're huge Spring users apparently, and I don't know if I could. I wasn't sure if I could ever have mentioned that, but they actually tweeted for me. I didn't even ask. I didn't like. They just tweeted saying, "Thanks for coming." And the presentation we did was the largest attended thing they've ever had in their organization. So that's cool. Atlassian, by the way, is kind of like Australia's Google or Apple or something, right? They that's the tech company that broke through here. It's or there. I'm in Korea now, but it's this huge organization, huge, and employs a lot of people. And the first Australian billionaires, if I'm not mistaken, were from Atlassian, right? So it holds a special place of pride in people's hearts there. And it does for me too, because again, they're doing cool stuff using Spring. Rock on, good on them. Okay, so friends, part one. Let me catch you up. Here's what we did, because we've got some time, but not a lot of time. Let's just get into it. So here's my sample. Okay, this is my sample. Pretty simple. Like, hey, gpt.chat. There's this ChatGPT service. I think we should call this a template, if I'm honest. I don't know why it's called service. Oh, that's the interface, but what's the implementation? There's the implementation, ChatGPT service imp. But this could actually be a template, right? But anyway, you get this client that you can use to talk to the ChatGPT OpenAI API, right? OpenAI API, OAA. And you can use it to send a request, because remember, ChatGPT at the end of the day is just a giant completion. It's auto completion, right? So you can say, given the following prompt, give me a response that looks like it could work. Hi, Silendra. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. It's very lovely to meet you as well. Hello, welcome to the stream from Atlanta, Georgia. That's cool. I haven't been there in, gosh, must be a month or two. Like, when was DevNexus? I've been there twice this year, but DevNexus was, I suppose, the most recent. Okay, let me see. So anyway, yeah, this code, you send it a completion request. It's going to talk to the completions API, the HTTP API, and if you want it to, it'll call back a function that you give it, right? And so the question is, how do you tell it what function? And Jackie, the original engineer on this, the founder of this project, he had some great ideas, really good ideas around, okay, well, what if we had a component model? And what if that component model could export functions? And what if we could have ChatGPT call those functions so you give them so he created this component model, GPT function. You give it a name by which ChatGPT will refer to it, as well as a payload type. And you can say, I want this call to the chat service to send this text prompt right here. That's the content. And I want to have it call this function. So I want the response that it's going to give me to be done in terms of this function. And so it'll actually invoke this function with the response that it gets from this. Now, of course, you have to be kind of like, so my example is I'm saying, hey, please send Josh and Jackie at inviting them, an email, an invitation. There we go. To inviting them, send an email to these two people, inviting them to the production party to be held this weekend at my chateau in the south of France. You'll need to extend the warmest of welcomes to the prospective guests. Okay, nonsense, right? But still, we're giving it a text prompt. We're saying the response should come in a way that fits in this callback function. And this callback function is designed as taking a send email request and returning a string. It's not public. It exists in a base class. That base class there's another class that extends that has other functions called compile Java. And then there's a Spring component that extends from all that. So the reason this is so tortured is because I'm trying to make sure that when you register a function in a base class that's not public and a couple levels up, it still works. And not only does it work, but I want it to work in GraalVM, okay? Because I want to be able to discover that. Now you can imagine what has to happen, right? I've got these types that are buried in a hierarchy. I need to recursively discover them by going up all the way through. And not to mention, if there's interfaces, in theory, you could have like a default method, and maybe that should work as well. We should try that. So yeah, that does work now. That's what I was working on last night on the flight, but I couldn't test it because I had no internet on the plane. And the way that works is we have this, I refactored some of the code here. Let's see here. Let's close other tabs. ChatGPT registry. By the way, this is another thing. Jackie was nice enough to let me turn on the Spring Java formatter, but the only thing, look at this. See all these capital letters? Like, I'm so used to the Spring style that this is just like, it just makes me twitch a little bit. So did you notice in Spring, it doesn't matter what you're doing. Like if you look at the JMS template, right? I don't have that in the class path, the JMS auto configuration. See, in Spring, everything is capital letter and then immediately lowercase and then another word, capital letter. It doesn't matter if it's an acronym. It's not capital JMS, it's capital J and then MS, capital auto configuration, right? So, and this is for all of Spring. Everywhere you see in Spring, if it's a Spring project, it'll have, lowercase, pure camel case. There's never any capital letters one after the other, right? And to me, it just feels more natural that way. And so my instinct, of course, is to write so part of the battle I've been having is just to keep myself from typing G, capital G, lowercase PT, and so on. Okay, so anyway, what is it? What have I done? It's been fun. So I wrote a thing called a function registry, decoupling the logic for storing and retrieving those functions from the service that uses those functions, that injects them into the completion requests. And we've got a couple of things here. We've got a bean registration AOT processor, a bean post processor. So this thing is runtime. This bean post processor is right here. We're saying call this function, extract functions. This is a thing that Jackie already had, and I've extended quite a bit to discover things in other interfaces and other parent classes and so on. It's not perfect, but it's certainly better than what we had. It discovers the functions, and if the functions are not empty, then it goes through and registers the functions in this type with these maps, these concurrent hash maps for all chat functions and all JSON schema functions. And we use it. You can see we're saying, okay, registered as a function here, registered as a chat function there. So we're keeping cached instances of those by function name. And I suppose we could actually function name. Okay, very good. So yeah, it's stashing that, and then that's the runtime. But in order for that to work, what has to happen, right? Like this is at runtime. In this extract function, what are we doing? We're getting the class. We're inspecting the class type of the bean that we're looking at runtime. And we're inspecting, and we're saying, okay, give me all the classes and the type. That means give me all the interfaces, all the parent types, all that stuff. Doesn't it mean that? I think it means that. We should make sure it has a to-do. Does this support default methods in interfaces? Maybe that hasn't been done yet, now that I think of it. Oh yeah, actually it does. Oh wait, never mind. Okay, so basically we're going through, where's this thing being called? This is the extract function. Yeah, so we're saying get all the interfaces and then get all the methods and all the types that we just found. So it'll be parent types, it'll be interfaces, it'll be the current type. Given all of those types, iterate through it, get the declared methods, get the methods that have this annotation called GPT function, and that gives you a collection of methods. And from those, we ignore all this. This is just logging stuff out. And then we go through and create GPT functions and store them in those maps that we just looked at earlier, right? And here we have to inspect the parameters and the field types and the parameter types and all this kind of stuff. All this stuff happens. But of course, in order for all of this stuff to work, remember, this is all happening at runtime. In order for this call to extract functions to work, what has to happen in a GraalVM native image? Well, we have to have support for discovering those things at compile time, right? We have to register hints so that we can do the reflection to discover those types. And we have to register those hints so that all the things we might do at runtime will work. And so we have to do a lot of the same logic there. So here's the compile time code, right? Let's collapse that for a moment. The compile time code is we're saying, look at the bean, get the bean class. So we're back where we were with the post process. And we're saying, get the functions, right? Again, we're saying just logging out some debug information, saying registering hints for functions. And we're saying if the functions are not empty, if we actually found 0 or 1 or more functions, then return this compile time component called an AOT contribution. Otherwise, we return null. And that's this. This is the compile time contribution. We've got the bean class, we've got the functions, and given that, we're gonna register hints, AOT hints for the bean class, all the classes in that type as well. We're gonna register hints for that. Clearly, this could be centralized, right? There we go. So we're registering hints for all those places to make sure that when we try and inspect those at runtime, that it just works, right? So let me see, member categories. There you go. Yeah. Any questions on that? It's mind bending, but let me see. Maven W Spring Boot. No, sorry, Maven W. Actually, I have a script here, don't I? If I go here, cat reset. What does that do? So that does install the Spring Boot starter, and then install the demo, and then run it. Right. So let's I guess Emacs reset. Thank you. So we'll let that run. Quick programming note, friends. Twitter, Starbucks man. Okay. Quick programming note. Okay, come on. I'll be meeting with my friend and fellow Java champion and Netty founder, right? Netty project and our Maria project founder, Trustin Lee. I'll be talking to him today, right? He and I are doing a webinar at 3:30 today, right? So that's soon. Like it's 13:30 right now. So 15, like 2 hours from now, basically. So that's why I have to leave at 2. I'm going to go meet him and we're going to prepare this webinar. So join us. That'll be fun. It's what is it? 15, 16, so an hour and a half, today. Okay. I'll be at the line offices, I think, and we'll be talking there. So join us for that. Okay. I'm going to leave you all. We're going to hang up at 1 o'clock my time, about half an hour from now, but I'll be back online later. I'll be at a different venue. Join me there, would you? Okay, that'll be fine. Okay, there's this tweet. I wonder if I can post. I can share this in my thing, right? What a beautiful day. Yes. What time is this? Here we go. Copy and paste. Paste. Okay, there you go. Join me there. Okay, Justin Lee and I. He's been on the podcast, by the way. He's great. He's one of the he's one of those people where just the coolest, most amazing human being, and yet he doesn't go out there. He's not like me. He's not loud. He's just really amazing. He just does amazing things. He created Netty. Statistically, you're using something he wrote, right? If you're using Spring, great. If you're using what he did, it's very likely they're almost as prolific, right? I mean, Spring uses Netty for lots of stuff now, right? And countless bits of middleware use Netty as well. So, like, for example, Zookeeper or Cassandra or just a million other projects, right? Kafka, all these things are using Netty somewhere. Okay. Okay, that worked. Look at that. So you can see it gave us back we got the GPT function. I've got debug turned on. Oh, although I noticed that this is info, so maybe we should definitely turn that off. But I've got debug turned on, so it's saying, okay, attempting to call the GPT function on my GPT functions with arguments, blah blah blah, and the results are recipients, subject, content. It's showing me the given the language of the form, which language? The good question there, Simon. I expected it in English. I have not brushed up on Korean, so one hopes it'll be in English. I don't know. I don't know. That's a good point. I think maybe you might use Google Translate if the form. I haven't even checked because I haven't tried to register because I don't need to register, do I? I don't think I do. Probably not. We'll find out. So join me there. Okay, so let's see. What do we got here, friends? So that worked, right? We got the callback. That's one thing that's working. That took a minute. I just wanted you to know how hard I worked on that. Okay, moving on. The next thing I want to make work is this. He's got this nice thing called a ChatGPT. Let me see. Find usages. Find ChatGPT service proxy factory. Yeah. And what does this do? Well, this it's kind of like the HTTP service proxy factory, right? It's the same idea. You can create an interface with some annotations, and it'll create a client. It'll create a proxy for you. So we want to make that work in GraalVM as well. And it obviously it does not right now, and it's pretty clear why. It's creating a proxy, right? So first of all, I'm going to rework this to be using the Spring interfaces. Okay, so let's take this type here, and most of the logic. Wow, you can see all that. Most of the logic is this, right? It's this callback invocation handler, and we want to make sure that if somebody does use that feature, which is really cool, and I want them to use it, right? We want to make sure that if somebody uses that feature, that it works in GraalVM. So first of all, let me refactor this to use the Spring proxy factory bean. Okay. So we would say proxy factory. And actually, maybe we don't need it. Maybe we can look at what is the HTTP service? Maybe he's doing the right thing. Yeah, he probably is. HTTP proxy factory. Okay. Create so proxy factory.get proxy. That's the Spring Bean version of it. Yeah, and it's got a method interceptor. Yeah, okay, we'll use the Spring thing. And there's a reason for that, which is it gives us some other callback interfaces. Let's see. Yeah. Okay, so turn proxy factory dot get proxy. And the proxy is class and new method interceptor. Okay, and for now, I reckon static class GPT method interceptor implements method interceptor. Okay, we want to extend maybe the invocation handler, so it's called GPT. What is it called? It's called this one. Okay. So need the G. Okay, so now I can just, for now, just to see if we can make it work. Let's just make sure that works. Okay, so what is this doing? This is invoke proxy method args. Okay, so this dot invoke object. So we're going to say object, which is what? There is no object, is there? What does he expect? What is the object? You know what? No, that's not going to work. Let's just make it work the old-fashioned way. Do we use proxy in here anywhere? No, I can't imagine that we do. Okay, so that could work actually. So we'll say null for that. Method is invocation.get method and invocation.get arguments. Okay. But now we're just forwarding one to the other, just for now, just to see if it works. Okay. So passing in ChatGPT service, this dot prompt manager and class. Okay. Okay. Let's just see if that works. Like that's the first part, is can we move it to this new API? And the reason we want to do that is because this will instrument our type with a few other interfaces. I don't know why that's there, but Spring cares. So and we know we have code to make this work in GraalVM from the Spring example, from the Spring equivalent. So like, let's just do that. I want to be able to copy and paste code with impunity here. Okay, don't judge. Let's see. Redundant, remove redundant casts. Why is it redundant? Oh, okay. Get proxy. Does that return T? Yeah, it does. Okay, great. That's nice. We can get rid of the cast there. Only in that one place. Yeah, good. Vincent asks, do I recommend annotation-based configuration with at component and auto-wired, or Java configuration with configuration all the beans in it? For your own components, well, you should almost never use auto-wired. Maybe in your tests, that's it. There's no reason for it anymore. You don't need it. You can have a constructor which defines parameters of types that are in your context, and Spring will automatically call that and satisfy those parameters. So there's no need for auto-wired. Definitely don't do it on fields, right? Auto-wired fields is a hack and disgusting. Don't do that. But for your own components, like for your services and repositories and whatever, then use at service and use at component and at repository with impunity. But for infrastructure, like your data sources and your templates and your whatever, the stuff that you don't own the code to, you can't change, then use beans, right? And they can mix and match. You can inject things defined in your at services and at components. You can inject those into your bean methods and vice versa. You can inject into the constructors of your at service components beans that you defined using at bean, for example. Okay. So let's see. Where's this test? I guess I should have tested that first. Let's see here. Get rid of that. And then really, I guess I could just ask the IDE to inline this, right? Refactor, inline method, inline all, and remove the method. Yeah, okay, sure. Cancel. Preview. Wait. Field, get exchange annotation. Okay, so cancel. So it's saying I need to have that method. I need to have other methods in that class to do the work. Why is that true? Because this stuff is all lower level. Yeah, okay, format chat message, etc. Okay, so for now, just to keep it clean, we'll just forward. Okay, let's just see if that works. So how does he recommend? Let's go see what tests we've got here. ChatGPT. This is an example. Okay, first things first. Public interfaces. Do I need that to be public? The other thing I've been doing is I've been going through and making everything as not public as possible, because if things need to be public, then it's probably a problem. Okay, well that's the the interface. Okay, you know what? Fair enough. Why not? Okay, so Proxy factory create client. So where's he using this? Here in the tests, GPT Hello World set service test. So let's try that. Okay, what does this do? Okay, good. So I didn't break anything by doing that refactoring, which means I can now inline the change and just move over wholesale, right? Like, let's try that. So we got this thing, GPT method interceptor. What I want to do is just bring everything up from here into my type, right? Okay. And we get rid of all that and get rid of the constructor here. Okay. Ready. So now, why is this never used? Do we not care? Let's just get rid of it. Oh, we do care about it there. Okay, fine. We use it there locally. Then we want this to go static private. Okay. Nope, not static. To invoke, and we'll just forward to that from the actual message format chat. And then this is to invoke null invocation.get method get arguments. Okay, so we're back where we started. Now I'm just calling locally. And then finally, can I inline this? Refactor, please. Yay, okay. Okay, so now what's the issue? Why do I, oh, it's because that other type still exists, right? So we want to get rid of that as well. That other type is this one. GPT exchange invocation handler. Okay, let's get rid of all that. Get rid of that. GPT. Now this type is package. Oh, I've got this. Okay, so exchange method interceptor, right? Method interceptor. Okay, now this type is useful. It should be its own public type. Not public, but it should be package private. Let's put it right there for now. Okay, that seems, consistent, right? Like all I've done is move to the Spring proxy factory. Now we have to figure out the GraalVM-ish. It's, the GraalVM bits, okay? So let's see. Method interceptor. This code is cool. Very cool. Jackie did such a good job. Like all this stuff is just, look at that. IntelliJ, thank you. Look at that. Just really nice. I don't have to do the hard work. All I had to do was copy and paste and get it to compile, and then the IDE did the rest. Okay, so where else do we, so we're doing something like this for Spring, right? So HTTP method exchange, HTTP exchange registration AOT processor, right? So what are we saying? We're saying here's the process ahead of time thing, right? And yeah, this, right? This is the code right here, right there. This is what we got to copy. I'm just going to make that work. So we go back to this. We're going to keep it in one place just to easily refactor and make changes, but it will have to change later. We'll have to put it out in separate code pages just to keep consistent with project style, right? GPT. There you go. Don't let me forget that. If you see me typing in lowercase GPT, correct me because it's important to be consistent. Okay. So GPT exchange. Okay. Okay. So what is this? This is an AOT processor that will do what? It will look for it'll get the bean class. It'll get all the exchange interfaces. How do we get the exchange interfaces? So we're doing a search here. Interfaces. Okay. Why is this like decompiled? Why is it so ugly? I just copy and paste from decompile. Oh, I did. Yuck. Okay, well, whatever. So len. Okay. Okay. So what are we doing? We're saying this is an AOT processor. We'll register this in some configuration here. We'll say add configuration. We have autoconfig in this package. We don't. Chat GPT service proxy factory auto configuration. Okay. And at being static GPT AOT processor return. So remember with with GraalVM, the problem is you need to make sure that it can find these things that you're doing at compile time, at runtime. It needs to know about those types, and you have to tell it not to throw those types away. And so the way you do that is by registering hints, which means that at compile time you have to do some reflection on these bean definitions, and then register the hints so that at runtime when we come along and look for certain things, that it still works. So what we're doing here is we're just lining things up so that things are still there at runtime. We're reflecting just enough to know that these types are there and are going to be inspected, reflected upon at runtime. Okay. So search for all interfaces in class. Okay. This is a compiler, but it's not very idiomatic. I think most of us would write this, even though it's probably not as ideal as we would like. In theory, somebody could redefine the variable, and I mean, I could foreclose upon that possibility with that, but either way, since I know what's happening, it's just this line. Who cares? Okay, moving up. Interface. And by the way, the compiler is really good at escape analysis and finalization of types that are in the same scope that aren't going to be used anywhere else. It can see that I'm not this is effectively final. The compiler will probably see that and see that it hasn't been reassigned anywhere else in the same method, in the same scope. And since it doesn't escape that scope, it'll know that this is effectively final. So final inside of a bean method or inside of a method is often kind of useless. Okay, so what are we doing? We're saying get all the interfaces for this class. We're looking for, how does it know? Okay, we're looking for all interfaces. We're saying this is the interface class. Then we're doing reflection utils, do with methods, looking for all the methods on that interface. If exchange interface contains exchange interfaces, how do we know what that is? Okay, so if this collection of interfaces doesn't already include the one that we're looking at, then do a search. And we look on that method and look for this annotation, which is what we want to do as well. But we need to find, what are we looking for in these interfaces? Chat completion? Is there any other kind of interface? Or GPT exchange, right? So we need this. What do we do? Try something that. Okay, so if search from if present, so it returns an optional. No, it returns this is an optional. It must be, right? No, but is it like an optional? Oh, it's iterable. Huh, that's pretty interesting. So we get an iterable of something, and then we say if this is present, this type, then actually wait, that doesn't feel right at all. Why is it? No, we're just doing a Boolean. It's an if test. We're saying if this type is not already in the set of values that we're capturing or saving up, and the type is present on this method, then and only then do we add that type to this list of interfaces. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward. So we're saying if any of these interfaces contain any methods with this annotation, okay, then return our new AOT contribution. That's this right here. Passing in the interfaces, okay? Otherwise, return null. And then this, of course, can be that, make that happier. Oh, the meeting with Armeria is in English. Okay, but the webinar will be in English, but Korean and Japanese interpretation. That's cool. Thanks, Simon, as usual. Pretty clutch. Okay, so if we have that type, we'll return that contribution. Otherwise, return null, right? Fair enough. What do we do in this contribution? Well, given a collection of interfaces, we save that, and then we say, when we get to this bean, so, okay, this is alien. That's looks like a robot did write it, right? But oh no. what have I done? I made it worse. Made it worse. The machine was right. Iterator. Okay, while iterator has next. So much better. Okay. Look, it's redundant. Yeah. So that's this thing right here. And then this one. And then that. Okay, so what is that doing? That's saying get all the interfaces. And then for each one of them, get the complete. So that proxy factory, it actually creates a bunch of it. It actually uses your interfaces plus these other three constant ones that Spring needs. Spring proxy, advanced, decorating proxy. So you can see it's actually pretty smart. It's doing user interfaces plus 3, right? Because it knows it's going to augment that list, but it's going to register hints correctly for all the types. So if we have your interface and nothing else, it's automatically going to include 4 interfaces, right? Total. If you have 2 interfaces in your thing, if your exchange type extends another interface, then that'll be 2 plus the 3 constants that Spring adds. So it'll be 5, right? Okay, so okay, I mean it's come together, right? We got this AOT processor. Let's just create a logger just to see where we are here. Have it final logger factory dot get logger get class. We'll say if logger is debug enabled, logger dot debug, adding to the collection of GPT exchange interfaces. Okay, and then it'll be interface class name, then logger dot not logger, it's just log. Oh, it is logger. Control. Okay. Log dot info dot log. Okay. GPT exchange interfaces. Okay, interfaces. This will be better if I do raise to string. Okay. Okay, that looks okay to me. So let's try this out. But now I want to make this happen in a GraalVM build. The tests as such at the moment are not designed to work that way. Is this a component? Why? So where does this get used? That's the next question. Does it get used anywhere else yet? Is it just... Oh, it is. Get GPT exchange. Okay, temperature. Okay, so that's a bunch of stuff that we should respect. We need to make sure that that is also included in... That this annotation itself is in the auto config. So where's our auto config? Register reflection binding class. Okay, got that. And then we need to make sure that this auto config is actually in the auto config file. Okay. GPT exchange bean registration. Is this type real? Yeah, that's real. So that's this. Good. No, that's the auto config. I want the auto config, man. Okay, GPT. What the F? Hold on. Something just creepy just happened. 1 second. Might be room service. Bear with me here.
안녕하세요. 롱크리님.
20 minutes. 20 minutes. Come back. Okay. 감사합니다. All right, now, how are we doing? So, 5 minutes. You think this will work already? Let's find out, huh? What the? Definitely not what I want to do. Let's see here. Okay. I want to create an interface over here. Interface, my completion client at GPT Exchange. GPT. What's the interface type called there? This one. Let's just copy and paste this. Whoa. This is a separate type, a separate project. I'm linking to it. So in theory, cool. So in theory, okay. So the idea is that you can inject this type here. My question is, how does it get discovered in the first place? Maybe I haven't even looked at that yet. That's another thing I need to worry about. Actually, you know what? I'll do this basic completion GPT service runner. Okay, we'll comment that out for now. Application runner return. Okay, and then we're going to inject our new friend, the service here. We'll say, welcome to the coffee and software YouTube channel. Okay, and then we'll say the flat map response system out. The response is. Does this work? I don't even know. Okay, let's try that. Let's try it in the JRE first. Yeah, so I don't even know how it's getting discovered. That's a good point, right? Like, how does this type get discovered, first of all? So GPT hello service. Is this actually being discovered? How does it even get? So CD ChatGPT service. XML. Oh, you have to create the bean manually, right? Okay, so he must have this thing right here. Hello service. This one, just like in Spring, the HTTP service one. Okay. I don't know why this sent. Yeah, I do. Yes, I do. Never mind. So we got this, and then what? Let's just try running that. Yes. Okay. So that worked on the runtime. Still, everything's fine. Now let's try making it work in GraalVM. We can do that here. Reset. Minutes to spare. We got like 30 seconds, friends. Okay, waiting for it to build. I'm just checking when I'm supposed to be down there. Hey, look at that. Isn't that cool? So there you go. We did it. That's dope. Like I love it when a plan comes together. We actually have the ChatGPT service initialized with 2 functions. That's the stuff, and this is the new one that we just built as well. Okay, so I'm gonna call that good, friends. We did a good thing here today. Control C. So ChatGPT, Maven W, Spring Java format, apply. Didn't break the build. I refactored to use the new stuff. I gotta figure out why this build is being so cranky with us, but either way, not bad. Okay, I got this. Definitely some more polish to be done, but support GPT exchanges in GraalVM. Get status, get push. Oh. Hey, my friends, that was fun. I hope you got something out of it. All we did was we made it so that now you can use this ChatGPT Starter to both use the completion service, the GPT service, and you can now create these very handy declarative interfaces. And I haven't tried this one. This has got a complex type. I imagine that's going to cause us more trouble. But we'll try that out next time, or maybe I'll revisit it tonight. But for simple stuff that's already in the JDK like this one you might have to do like a register for reflection binding kind of thing. We should also make sure that this is correct, but it was good. We did it. Thank you. I have to go downstairs. I reckon there's probably going to be people down there waiting for me, and I should probably not disappoint. So thanks for your time. I hope you got something out of this. I'll try and do more. Like I said, join me for that webinar with Trust in a couple hours. Okay, right there. It'll be great. It'll be Spring Boot, and then Armeria now builds on top of Spring Boot, or it supports it rather. So either way, you can join us. It'll be fine. Bye, my friends. See you in a bit.